Oh,
Thank
you're
you so
going.
much
Hold on.
for accepting my request to witness our performances on our Independence Day.
Yeah. And I have my flag, but my background is blurred. So hang on a second. So I will bring it to the front. So there's my flag.
Yes, thank you so much.
Oh my goodness. That is very flexible. Hmm. Very nice. Oh my goodness.
Okay, give them big hand.
That was fabulous.
Okay, and if you don't mind, could you please introduce yourself before we proceed to the next event?
Sure. So my name is Mrs. Boziak, and I teach high school. So I teach grades 9 through 12. I am a science teacher, and right now my courses that I teach to my students are human anatomy and physiology. I teach them a wildlife course, so all about animals in North Carolina, and I teach them a forensic science course.
National flag. So, Glenda, welcome to India.
Hi,
So, welcome to India. If you don't mind, could you please introduce yourself before we proceed to the session?
my name's Glenda Funk. I live in Idaho in the U.S. Gotta hold this up.
Good morning, ma'am. I am Christina. I am an 8th grader. So today I will share about our Indian flag. A flag is the most important symbol of a country. Similarly, the national flag of our India is a symbol of paramount significance for India. And also our Indian flag is a symbol of honor, patriotism and freedom for the country. It represents the unity of people of India in spite of differences in like language, culture, religion, class, etc. Most noteworthy, our Indian flag is horizontal, rectangular, and tricolor. Furthermore, our Indian flag consists of saffron, white, and green. The nation is celebrating its 78th Republic Day on Friday, January 26th, being a date on which in 1950 the Indian Constitution adopted by Constituent Assembly on November 26, 1949 came into effect. and then country became a republic. On August 15, on the other hand, the flag is positioned at the bottom of the pole and is hoisted by the Prime Minister from the bottom to the top. Thank you very much.
Okay, about the independence.
War of Independence.
Hello ma'am, my name is Padmaja. I'm an educator. It's an honor for me to address you all on our 78th Independence Day. As we all know that on this fateful day in 1947 we gained independence. Thanks to freedom fighters and political visionaries of that time. They had embraced a free and united India and fought courageously against British invaders to make their dream. Finally, their dream was realized on 15th August 1947. So the nation had to pay a heavy price tag. With the joy of independence came the sorrow of partition. The celebration of independence was marred by the formation of Women of Pakistan on 14th August 1947 and bedded by the communal violences following. It's impossible to change history, but we can always change the future and make memories. As we all know that Independence Day is a significant day in our Indian history, and we must remember our freedom fighters who sacrificed their life for us. Thank you.
Student is going to ask the question.
Hello, ma'am. How are you?
I'm very good, thank you.
I'm Sai Surya, and ninth grader from GPHS School, Ailavaram. My hobbies are reading books, playing games, and watching TV. Shall I ask a question, ma'am?
Yep.
What are your suggestions for students who want to excel in their life?
So I thought a lot about that. And I think that the best advice that I would give you is to have an idea or several ideas in your head of what you want to do. And work towards those goals, but also be very flexible because sometimes a lot of other things come up that might be a better goal for you. Does that make sense? So don't necessarily focus to get to a point, but also be open to things that might come your way that would be just as good for you. I think that's probably the advice that I would give my students.
This is Subramanya Srinivas, an 9th grade student from GPH School, Ailavaram. I would like to ask you a question. Can I ask, ma'am? What do you know about India?
Did you understand the question, Kathy?
Mm-mm.
What do you know about India?
Oh,
what
what
do you
do I
know
know
about
about India?
Yeah.
Well, I don't know as much as I probably should know. I mean, in the US, we all know about Mahatma Gandhi. And I know about some writers who were born in India. And V.S. Naipaul, I know, was born in India, but then he migrated to London and he won the Nobel Prize in Literature in the early 1990s. I've read a lot of his novels. I know India is a huge country geographically, and it is considered the largest democracy. I know that. And I have been looking because your teacher keeps asking me when I am going to come and visit India. And so when I look at coming to India and traveling to India, I'm thinking, oh my gosh, here's all this stuff in the north and then all this in the south. And I know that if and when I come, I'm only going to get to go one time. I have, it's called a master's degree in English literature. And my, one of my advisors, it's called a reader. And so one of my professors, when I was in working on my advanced degree, he grew up in India. And so I've met, what do I know about India? I know you guys send us a lot of doctors. I know that. And a lot of really, really accomplished and intelligent people who are experts in the tech world. And I just took a trip to Ecuador, and there were 2 doctors from India in the group I traveled with, but they live in North Carolina. So one
Oh.
was an internist and one's a cardiologist. So, but I don't know very much. I'm embarrassed to say. You probably know much more about the United States than I know about India.
Ma'am,
How are you?
I'm fine, ma'am. How are you?
We had 2 soccer games tonight, so I'm
Hello,
I'm
ma'am. My
okay.
name is. Hello,
Do
ma'am.
what?
My name is Sheikh Masood. I am a 9th grader from ZPHS Alaram. Can I ask a question, ma'am?
Absolutely.
Could you please tell us about the geoscience?
So I'm going to send you teacher, and I wanted to have some things that I could show you, but because of our soccer schedule and we've started school today, I'm a little bit behind. So I'll send you teacher some pictures of some things that sort of match what I'm going to tell you. So geosciences is a really fancy word for earth sciences. And when you're talking about earth sciences, you're looking at everything that goes on having to do with the planet. So it might be the sphere that is called a cryosphere, which is all ice. So that would be glaciers, or it might be the lithosphere, which is, you know, all of your land and your mountains, or that type of thing. So when you talk about geosciences, volcanoes and tsunamis and all kinds of really interesting disasters. And then you can talk about weather. So geosciences covers a lot of different things. And I'll send your teacher some pictures of some examples of geosciences that I've taken in different places that I've been.
Thank you.
Kathy, where do you live?
Thank you so much regarding this. So could you please tell us something about your state?
About Idaho?
Yeah.
Okay, well, we grow a lot of potatoes here. And so Idaho is considered the potato growing capital of the United States. And we grow so many potatoes here that my husband likes to tell people whenever they eat a potato chip, then they're eating a potato grown just in our neighborhood of where I live in Idaho. And let's see, we have a lot of mountains here. Skiing is very popular, but it gets really hot in the summer. So it gets up in the 90s in the summer. I live at 4,500 feet altitude, and it is considered a desert climate. Let's see, the dominant religion here is the Mormon religion. They probably send missionaries to India. Let's see, that's the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. That's the dominant religion here. Let's see. What else do you want to know about Idaho? Oh, yes, I live very close to the Snake River. And the Snake River is a really long, winding river that flows into the Columbia River. And the Columbia River is the second largest river in the continental US next to the Mississippi River. Idaho really is divided as far as a state goes. So if I travel from where I live in the southeastern part of Idaho up to the far north part that borders up to Canada, then I have to drive at least 9 hours to get to the main city up there, Coeur d'Alene, Idaho. And that's very mountainous and beautiful lake up there. You can look that up on the internet if you look up Coeur d'Alene, Idaho. And so this is a place where people come and train to rock climb. So I know that, you know, mountaineering is popular in your part of the world, but a lot of rock climbers come here to train for rock climbing. We have a like a rock wall mountain slab thing on the other side of town. Let's see, what else do you want to know? Let's see, we have a lot of rainbow trout here as far as fish go. Salmon, we have a lot of salmon. As I already said, I live 3 hours from Yellowstone National Park, 3 hours from Jackson Hole, Wyoming. really close to all the major national parks in Utah.
Here.
Some of my students actually, these are the LCC candidates. So they want to do something.
Okay.
Good
So that's
job.
the LCC cadets, actually they
Yeah.
regularly practice and they work for the country. And if the country needs it, they go and work for the country as a soldiers. So they are the student cadets. So within a few minutes from now, you are going to witness a dance event here. So students are getting ready and they are doing some makeup work in a separate room. So meanwhile, I request you to give some suggestions to my students. In future, maybe they can immigrate to USA because most of them would like to immigrate to USA. How many of you actually want to try your luck to immigrate to USA? Raise the hands. How many of you? Raise the hands. Yes, there are a few students, and here are a few students. Nearly 10 students are there. So, may I request Kathy first to please give a few guidelines to my students who want to move to your country in future.
So North Carolina has a lot of universities. We're not like India where, you know, there's one state university in your state, and if you don't get in, you know, your scores aren't good enough, you have a problem. So in North Carolina, I want to say there's about 100 or 125 different universities. So my suggestion would be to start thinking about, kind of go back to that idea of what is it that you want to do, and then start looking at the different universities that might have a program that would help you accomplish that. And start out with something like a student visa to come to a university, and then you know, progress from there. The different avenues to get in, the ways that you can get into the universities in the United States, there's a lot more flexibility for international students than there is for our local students. So that's a good thing. Yeah, so just kind of do some research on where you'd like to end up. I'm not from North Carolina originally, so I'm a little bit partial to the northeastern part of the United States, and there's a lot of universities there as well. So, you know, a couple of different things to look at where you might want to, what kind of weather you like. The weather in the United States is much different than, you know, Calcutta. So if you like winters, go to Idaho, go to the, you know, up into the Northeast, Massachusetts and Vermont and Maine, New Hampshire. If you like really hot weather, like you guys probably are more used to, then you come to where I am, which is North Carolina, South Carolina, Georgia. But yeah, that's what I would do. Just kind of get in, you know, start looking at what it is that you think you want, what universities offer that, and then do some research on what are the requirements for you as an international student to come to those schools, you know. And if it's a writing piece, practice your writing. If it's scores, because the scores are a little bit different, the testing's a little bit different in the States than in India. Yeah, from there.
Thank you so much, Kathy. Now it is Glenda turn. May I request Glenda to give few guidelines?
Yeah, I was going to add to that a little bit too, that, you know, a lot of times when international students are thinking about where they want to go in the US, they think in terms of, oh, I want to go to California or I want to go to New York. And so there are certain places they have in their mind, and there's a whole big middle of the country and more rural places. Like I live in a very rural state, so we don't have as many colleges and universities here. There is a university locally, Idaho State University, and there are a lot of international students who come through here. And so, and then, so think too about like smaller schools that, you know, that might not get as many applicants as some of the major schools do. Where Kathy lives, that's a big research area in North Carolina and in her area. So there are a lot of major universities. Like I have a couple of former students who are going to be students at Duke University next year. One will be in his third year of law school, and one is going to be in a graduate program that he got a huge scholarship for. And so, you know, they started out here in Idaho and now are in that part of the country for their programs. So, and don't close any doors. All your
Exactly.
subjects are important. Keep your doors open, because young people nowadays, they change professions more than, you know, my generation did. So I taught for 38 years, and that just is not heard of anymore. You know, young people entering the profession, they just don't stay as long. And so you want to be a well-rounded individual. And of course, knowing English, because it's in the international language of business, so important. You know, Americans are terrible about learning a second language, but if you know English, that opens so many doors to you as well. But really keep those options open. Think, even if you don't like a particular subject, especially core subjects like the math, the science, English, and all of those kinds of things, learn as much as you can, because you never know where you're going to end up. I'm not from Idaho originally either. I grew up in Missouri, and I never thought I would end up in Idaho of all places. So, you know, you never know where you're going to end up in life. You
And
just
that
have
kind of
to.
goes back to what I was saying when you were asking about advice to how to succeed. Keep an open mind on everything. You go into your, you know, your next experience in, you know, in college, you go into that with the expectation that this is what I want to do. So when I was in college, I started out as an occupational therapy major. And that didn't work out. And I really wanted to be an archaeologist, and that didn't work out. And so I ended up switching my major 2 or 3 different times because I was open to different choices. And then I ultimately ended up with a you know, an animal science degree, and ended up teaching, you know, a number of years later. So always keep that open mind. And I think that's a really good point that Glenda has. Sometimes you think that you want to go to a more metropolitan area because you know the name of the college, you know, you recognize the name of the college, but often their spots, you know, their slots for students get filled very quickly. And so I think her point of don't shut down on some of the lesser known colleges, you know. I would fall down if I did that. That is awesome.
అమ్మా నాన్నలకు అత్యుత్తమ బహుమానం.
Now start. 3, 2, 1.
అధినాయక జయ హే భారత భాగ్య విధాత పంజాబ సింధు గుజరాట మరాఠ ద్రావిడ ఉత్కల వంగ వింధ్య హిమాచల యమునా గంగా ఉచ్చల జలధి తరంగ తవ శుభ నామే జాగే तव शुभ आशीष मांगे गाहे तव जय गाथा जन गण मंगल दायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता जय हे जय हे जय हे जय 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 हे.
So now I request Kathy to give a message to my students on this a remarkable day as far as my country history is concerned.
Hey, fabulous, and I wish you all the absolute best on your wonderful day of independence.
Happy Independence Day. Do you
Okay.
celebrate with fireworks?
Usually we don't do that. But on this day, we don't do that. We just decorate the houses with the flags and the distribution of the sweets. And so that's how we celebrate here.
Yeah, because you know, American Independence Day, kids aren't in school.
Right.
So,
'Cause it's
yeah,
over the
for
summer.
for our Independence Day, kids don't go to school.
So here we have a ceremony like hoisting the flag on this day. We are inviting the guests. Anytime from now, we are going to invite the guests and they are going to hoist the flag, and it's followed by ceremonies. I mean, the cultural events that follows.
Okay.
So thank you so much to both of you for gracing this occasion.
You.
And you made both of us a day great today. Thank you so much on behalf of my school, on behalf of my students. Both of you, please salute them.
I wanted to share something with your students that I'm very proud of from the time that I was there. So I actually have 2 saris, and I was invited to a wedding in Toronto, Canada. And they were very impressed with the fact that I knew how to put my sari on and how to wrap it the way I was supposed to wrap it. So I just wanted to pass that along to you guys, that I enjoyed my time in India so much that I still wear my sari when I get a chance to.
That's cool.
Okay, thank you so much. So, yes, say bye.
Thank you.
Bye bye.
Bye.
Thank you.